Tragedy struck in Lekki, Lagos as a 30-year-old woman, Cynthia Oguzie, was killed after an overhead water tank collapsed through the ceiling of her room while she was asleep. Oguzie had only moved into the apartment 2 months prior to the incident. A viral video seen by ATN showed the victim lying motionless on her bed while a voice in the background insisted she was still alive at the time. Another clip captured the shattered water tank and debris from the falling ceiling. Additional photos later surfaced showing Oguzie's lifeless body at the hospital. The victim's brother, Chukwebuka Nathaniel, blaming the tragedy on substandard construction. Thank you, so-called Lekki landlord and your engineer, for doing this type of water stand, he wrote, accusing the developer of negligence. He added that the landlord claimed to be outside the country and had relied on visual updates from the site engineer. The Lagos State Police Command has yet to officially comment on the matter. When contacted, spokesperson CSP Benjamin Hundeyin said the incident might not have been reported to the authorities. Meanwhile, a flyer shared online confirmed that Oguzie's funeral service would be held on Friday, April 25th. The incident has triggered widespread outrage online, with Nigerians calling for justice and stricter regulation of building standards. Critics pointed to the growing trend of cost cutting and use of uncertified engineers in urban housing projects. As of Tuesday evening, the Lagos State government had not released an official response. What is your thought on this report, Mr. Kolawole? I mean, this is so sad. Imagine being in your house, a place that is supposed to be your sanctuary, a place that is supposed to be a place of safety, and not killed by headsmen, not killed by bullets, not killed by anybody that is no armed robbers. A tanker fell because of substandard equipment used in building the apartment. What are your thoughts on this report?
I mean, just like you rightly said, where you feel safest, right? This has happened to someone, sadly. And someone out there might not take this seriously, but it can happen to anyone.
Sadly
so. And this just, I mean, sadly, right? Now people are calling out the landlords, the developers, some people might say even the woman herself. But now someone's life is gone. Blaming is not going to solve anything. Rather, I think the questions we should ask is why are these things happening? If it's not a tanker falling today, it's a building, a story building crumbling and whatnot. People need to, we need to hold ourselves accountable. We need to do things right. Because when you find out that people build substandard buildings or constructions for I think maybe to save cost, it's pretty sad, and I will tag that as wickedness. Because when you do these things, you now expect. Sadly, this woman just moved into the house.
Right, and given how expensive house rent has become in Nigeria, right?
So she just moved in. If it's somewhere she has stayed before, I would have said, oh, she must have, maybe she didn't notice that it was leaking or something, or it was getting soft. But what are the agencies doing? I believe there are bodies that check, the building standards and approve these things. But I don't know if these.
Do you think those bodies are working? Do you think they're actually doing the work?
I don't think they are functional, because if they are, such things should have been noticed on time.
But I mean, over here in Port Harcourt, you see sometimes someone starts up a construction and you're passing there today. It seems like, oh, this place looks clean, it looks nice. Maybe they put the whole the zinc gate thing in front of the place to like a gate, so to speak. The next day you're passing, you see people, someone must have written on it, I'm sure, government base, say remove this structure. Are those people meant to be checking the quality of materials being used for buildings, especially residential ones as this one?
I'm not sure. I don't know about Port Harcourt, but I do see things like that in Lagos here.
Okay.
But now I do not even think those stamps are placed for quality of building most times. I think it's more about maybe payment of some, land charges or building charges. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Right.
I don't think the authenticity of the quality is being checked properly, if I may say. Now, these situations, now this landlord probably, from the story, is not even in Nigeria, and he gave the developers full, autonomy and control to build and to lease. Now, I feel like we need to, most of the issues we have in this country is because we do not hold people accountable. Now, it may sound like it's harsh when I say things like this and whatnot, but there's a saying that we have always heard in the military, and I think it appeals to real life as well. Ignorance is not an excuse, and in some cases, it's not even ignorance, but negligence. The fact that you feel it's not. I mean, it's just a house. Let's just build a house. People need houses. I mean, every day people are taking houses. But these developers need to be held accountable. When things like this happen, it should be traced. I mean, there are documentations, there are payments. Now, the landlord should be asked, okay, who was the developer that built this? Let him be called. Let him explain why this happened. I mean, this is for a fact. If you build something well, it's not going to crumble. You and I both agree on that, right?
Right.
But when you build something, without without quality materials, it's going to crumble. So if developers are not being held accountable for things like this, I mean, we might not say it's a murder case. Definitely, it's not. But I'm sure there is a way it can be handled legally to make sure they take these things more seriously, so that when people are building houses, it's not even a matter of the size now, right? Because some houses are even too small, but that's their choice. But at least build it well, so that we do not have issues like this.
Right.
I mean, Nigeria is not. Thank God we are not a country that is prone to having, quakes and tremors and whatnot. Imagine that was the case. That means there will be lots of houses crumbling because, I mean, when the earth core is shaking and we do not have solid buildings, you know what happens next. So I feel like this thing should be taken more seriously. The issue with Nigerians and our government is they don't take it seriously because it has not happened to them or someone close to them.
Right. Now, you talked about accountability a while ago. I want to gather your thoughts as regards. Do you think that this happens because we're a little too lukewarm with holding our leaders and people in power, and also people in power? When I say people in power, people at the echelon of affairs. Do you think this happens because we actually do not hold people accountable? Given that we have the Ministry of Housing, you'd expect that, goods and houses of this magnitude, people will be moving around. They do move around to, check what is going on in these houses. Do you think it was ignored? Do you think it is a case of bribery? Maybe they were giving some money and they didn't bother to look through the equipment. Particularly for I myself, this story, this report is particularly, it gives me some form of a deja vu because, a few years ago when I was much, much younger, I moved into an apartment. The apartment I lived, a new tenant did move in there, a pregnant lady, and she had a little beautiful baby girl, and everything was going on quite nice, and all of a sudden one day I just heard a sound from my bedroom and I rushed out, and when we got there, the tanker from the next new building they were building had fallen into this little girl's house and this child was dead. Do you think that the people that ought to carry this particular thing as their core duty fail to do it, and because we do not hold our leaders accountable, that is why we have this form of unnecessary deaths repeated?
Definitely, I would say you have said it all already. Because when I say accountability, I mean accountability as Nigerians, accountability as per the developers, accountability for the government.
Right.
I feel like, so there are some thoughts, like some people feel everything falls on the hands of the government. I agree, yes, but sometimes it's not also the case. Now, in this case, we can both agree that it's not a one-person blame, and there's no point doing blame games. What we can do is do better. Now, the developers obviously did not build this structure properly. The tanking or the tanker stand, or can you think of a better word now, right?
Right.
So there are bodies that should be involved. Now, when you want to build something, I'm sure it's not just in a limbo. When you want to build an apartment, you have to go through some process. You pay some necessary charges as per you want to build some land and whatnot. During that process, there should be a routine check. Okay, before you start, this is what you have here. When you are done, let us know so we can come and check the quality of the structure. I don't know if that happens. I like to believe that there is a body for that, but I don't think it's functional, or even if it's functional, I don't think they are doing their duties properly, which is checking the quality of this thing. So that's why I said accountability is on each levels. Now, accountability as for the developers, they should be held accountable. Why would they do that? And also the bodies that should check this, why were they not checking? Because I mean, if they checked, they would have probably put a mark on it and say this is not viable, rebuild or something.
Right.
Do you understand? So I feel it's accountability falls, and it's not just in this case, it's in
spread across board.
As a person, spread across board. I mean, if you complain about dirty in Nigeria today, dirty didn't just come up from one place. There are a group of people that don't think about keeping the nation clean. But there's a saying, then the change begins with you. So even as a neighbor, when you notice things that are not done right, you can report. You can't just sit and say, oh, thank God I'm not the one staying there, or it's not me staying there. I know it's difficult to do that sometimes because we don't have a system that even follows up properly or sees it as an important thing. But let's try to do this once in a while. When we see that even the agencies are failing, we call their attention. Okay, this stuff is not looking, I noticed when they were doing it or when they were building it, and I don't think they built it well. Can you come and check or something? It can happen to anybody.
Sadly so. Thank you so much for your insight on that report.